Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Old Gold and Black YouTube channel. It's me, Tom Rouse, and this is going to be a new little series during lockdown. I've spoken to quite a lot of people, organised a lot of interviews, but episode 1 is with my podcast wife, Billy Roche.
Wife, yeah. Oh, I thought it was going to be your significant other, Tom, but I feel quite honoured now.
Made it. So, just to give you a brief overview of what the series is going to be about, I'm going to speak to lots of different football fans, not necessarily Wolves fans all the time. In fact, we're starting off with a non-Wolves fan. And they're going to show us their favourite kits and their favourite video clips as well. One from their own club and then one non from their own club. So, Billy, you're a Chelsea fan, living in Cardigan, from Burnley, born in Burnley. So just explain to the viewers the story there.
So I moved from Burnley. My dad was born in Burnley and my mum was from Cone, and they obviously got together, And my mum was a childcare nursery nurse, and she'd worked her way up the ladder and that thing. And the next step was owning their own business. My dad, nothing to do with that. He was an engineer or a mechanic for paint sprayers, so he had nothing to do with. So they were looking to own a business in Burnley, and then in one of these magazines or something, a business was for sale in West Wales, in Cardigan, which at the time I think it only took them 3 maybe hours to drive from Burnley. This is in 1996.
Yeah,
to drive down to West Wales. They did it in an afternoon. We all went down. Me, my mum and my dad and my sister, we all came down, and then they ended up buying the place. And then subsequently now it takes obviously a lot longer to get up there. That's how I moved to Cardigan. And then so my dad was a Chelsea fan.
Why?
So he's spoken to you briefly about it as well after one of our podcasts and stuff. So he was going on to watch Burnley quite regularly, and then a group of friends that he joined, they were going down to watch Chelsea, so he went along with them, and then subsequently has supported them ever since. And then because I live so far away from any professional football team, obviously I've got Aberystwyth, the Welsh Premier League teams, Swansea being the nearest one, but even so, that's a couple of hours away to go and watch Swansea. So you
thought you may as well support?
I might
Chelsea
as well support
anyway.
Chelsea, and because we were watching, my dad was watching when it was on telly. We were watching it on telly, so I was watching most games on telly anyway. I couldn't watch, similar to when we were in university, the Championship and League One and everything like that. Weren't on telly. Obviously nowadays more so you could get away with it, and other various means have cropped up because most games are recorded. Whereas when I was growing up, that wasn't the case. And being English, living in a Welsh town, not that I wasn't liked, but I was always the odd one out, and not many people supported Chelsea around here. It was either Liverpool or Man U were the two teams. So I think it just followed the trend. I was like, I'm just going to support who everyone doesn't. And it's true, because I think we were voted the most hated team in the Premier League quite recently.
So I can remember Chelsea being not very good back in the late 90s, but they were always sort of like 7th in the table or 8th in the table. But then they could have a season where they'd finish 15th and they'd be terrible, which I think for children nowadays, hearing that about Chelsea is unthinkable. But let's see your first bit of kit then, Billy. As you've been talking about Chelsea, let's have a look at your first Chelsea kit.
It's not necessarily my favourite kit in terms of, because we've done a series on our podcast where we've talked about our favourite kit. So it's not my favourite kit in terms of the design or anything like that, but it's the favourite I own for obvious reasons, as I will show you now. So I will turn it. I've had to hunt this out for you, Tom, as well.
Ooh. Is that framed?
It's a framed, I don't know if you can see it very well, signed by the whole squad.
Oh, wow.
It's Chelsea shirt, which I got. I can't remember when I got it. It was definitely, I think, like my 18th or something like that birthday, from my parents. Signed by the whole squad, and it's been framed. So I've most, in case, obviously, I don't think many of your fans know. I don't think many of our listeners on our podcast know. I'm currently living at home with my parents, and they're building a house, and have been since me and you have known each other. So it's about 12 years now. And so all of my stuff from like at my previous house is in a container. So I've had to go into the container today to go out and get all of this stuff. So this might not necessarily, this definitely is my favorite shirt, but when we get onto one of the later topics in terms of the memorabilia, it might not necessarily what I wanted to find, but this was what I could easily access.
Right. Okay. So what year is that shirt from then?
Off the top of my head, I think it's 2008.
Is that significant? Oh, that's the Champions League final defeat.
I think so. I think it is. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I did know at the time, but I haven't looked it up because I was worried I couldn't find the shirt. So I had a backup one just in case, which would have been the Champions League shirt.
Right.
But when I found it, I was like, right, quick, I'll grab it and plug it and get it up and stuff.
So I'm sure that the viewers will be wanting to know, Billy, have you been to either of the Champions League finals?
Unfortunately not, and it's a sore subject in my house, as I'm sure you're aware. So the 2008 final, as we just mentioned, was in Moscow, and all of us were members, I think, the previous season. Or the way it worked, I'm not entirely sure, but when we were applying for tickets, my dad couldn't get one, I couldn't get one, but my sister, who was in a certain category, I think, so 2008, how old would I have been? I would have been 16. So I think I'd have left the youth category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was applying for an adult ticket. Whereas my sister, who at the time was 14, was in the child's category. She was able to get a ticket and subsequently had to have an adult go with her, which was then which my dad then was like, well, I'll have to go. This was also smack bang in the middle of my GCSEs. So my mum was a bit iffy as going, but then when that happened, she was like, yeah, well, you're definitely not going now. Because my dad was like, oh, well, you could come and just pretend to, but then it was a case of they gave you your ticket with your passport, so it was
was there any part of you then that felt really glad that they didn't win the Champions League that year?
So I'm obviously sat at home watching it. My dad's not home, so I'm not watching it with him. So I'm sat on my own watching it. My mum's popping in and out, and it obviously goes to penalties, and I'm there going, I don't know what I want to happen. Like if we'd have won the game outright, but penalties is obviously such a flip of a coin. I was like sat there going, I don't know what I want to happen. I don't know. My sister and my dad were sat at the opposite end, to the penalties as well. So the penalties were shot at the United fans. I just remember, obviously, I think once we lost, I just turned it off and that was it, which I think most fans would have done anyway. But I was just there, like, at the same time, I was like relieved. There was this sense of relief over me as well, thinking I was gutted that we lost it, but at the same time, I was like, thank God that if my dad had been there the first time we won the Champions League, I'd have been gutted.
And then in 2012, you were at university obviously with me, but I don't think there was any chance of you getting a ticket, was there?
No, we looked. It was ridiculously expensive, and we just couldn't get a game. So we were in uni. I'd watched the semi-final with the famous Torres goal with you. That was nearly my clip, and he was like, "Oh, I might put that in as the clip." But then I was like, "Nah, I've got to put the final in." But then came home to watch it and watched it with my brother, who was still a Chelsea fan at that point. He's now a Swansea fan.
Good boy. Good boy.
Claims to be. He I don't think he's really a fan. I think he's just a fan of football,
right?
As you were.
And they're the most local one. Yeah.
And they are the most local one. But so we all watched it together, and I just remember that. I'm glad we won that one because we were all together. If that makes sense. And we celebrated it as a family.
Right, so that's lovely. A nice bit of kit as well, Billy. I've got a signed Wolves shirt as well that I've had for 2 years now. I've been meaning to frame for 2 years, but I've just not got around to it. So give us your other bit of kit then, your non-Chelsea kits.
I'm going to try. My laptop is, because I'm sat in the caravan, there's no table where I am. So the laptop is on my legs in case everyone's worrying why it's So one of the things that I regret not having was a shirt of my favourite player as a Chelsea player, which was Idager Johnson.
Right.
So luckily, Iceland got to the Euros. So I managed to get this lovely, beautiful thing, which has got So
he was in that. Did he play in that tournament then? Was he in the squad?
He was in the squad. He
How
didn't
old
play
would
a
he be?
single.
He must have been like 40
He was like
at that time.
he was like 38. He never.
Wow.
He didn't play. It was similar to the Bergkamp when he went.
Okay.
So he didn't play a single. I nearly put as the clip the Iceland clap. You know the
right. Yeah.
And you can see he's in that. You can see him clear as day in that. So he did go. Hence what, and he was number 22. So I was like, right, I'm buying this shirt. I got the white one because it was nicer than the blue one.
Nice.
So that's my favourite.
I like that
Chelsea shirt.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah, but I do like that. I remember when I was growing up, there was a friend I had that just loved Dennis Bergkamp. He was an Albion fan. He didn't have any affiliation to Arsenal at all, but he just loved Dennis Bergkamp. And he had, those little models that you could get in the 90s. And he used to have one of them of Bergkamp, and he used to always play as Arsenal on FIFA because that was before the Championship was on there.
Yeah.
I've never had that really. I've never really loved a player so much that I would go and follow him internationally.
Oh yeah.
I suppose Bale's probably the closest at the moment, but even still.
But like Johnson, obviously he was at Chelsea, but when he left Chelsea, I still Barcelona. I nearly bought a Barcelona shirt with Johnson on, and I've followed him since and stuff. Yeah. And always kept him close to mine. But he was definitely. One of the reasons he was my favourite player was because he was blonde.
Yeah, I was just about to say Chelsea. Why.
So last night, you probably don't know this. Yesterday was the 15th anniversary.
I did see actually, but I didn't. It might shock you. I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it. It was 15 years to the day where Chelsea won the league with Jose Mourinho, and so watching that, and Johnson played in that. But Yuri Yarosik, probably a name you don't remember.
It definitely a name.
My dad didn't remember. He has a similar hairstyle. Obviously, at the minute, I've got lockdown hair, which is it's too long. Similar to you, Tom, as I know you've been growing yours. But yeah, he was definitely the blonde player that played for Chelsea, and obviously we had Duff and things like that. But growing, when he signed stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I've got a player now, and he scored goals because he was a striker.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was definitely one of my favourites. Other than Lenny Pidgley, he was always my go-to answer for any quiz question. Because he won the league with Chelsea. I don't know if he got a medal. But yeah. But anyway, moving on, Tom. Do you want to?
Yeah. So I will ask you something else because I was expecting you to say the kit that you're wearing there, which is I think is a Boca Juniors shirt.
Yeah. So I this is my one of my shirts that I brought back from South America. It was close, but I had to put Johnson in.
Yeah.
If that was a Chelsea shirt, that would have been the Chelsea shirt, and then this would have been. Yeah. But because it isn't. So these I bought. Traveled South America 3 years ago now, and didn't intend to do this, but went to a game in Colombia, and subsequently bought a shirt, a replica, as you will, off the street, and then decided, do you know what? I'm going to try and do this in every country that I went to. So I have got a shirt from all of the countries that I went to, which I think off the top of my head was 9.
Right.
And I went to the game and bought the shirt then of that team. So I went to a Boca's game, which was mental. Yeah. They lost, which was even more mental because they were playing River Plate in their Champions League, I think, or a cup game the Tuesday. So Tevez wasn't playing. They didn't. They rested all their main players, but still, it was an experience.
So, did you go to the Bombonera then to watch them, or was it somewhere else?
In Boca, yeah.
Because that's one of those stadiums that on FIFA looks amazing because it's got that really steep stand, doesn't it, with boxes or something in it?
Yeah, so I went to the game and then I did a stadium tour after as well because by the time I started in Colombia, went all the way around. Argentina was one of the last countries that I went to, and they were that and the Palmeiras game I went to in Brazil were the most expensive in terms of. But obviously
they were proper teams.
They were actual teams which everyone knew about. But you obviously couldn't see, similar to when we were in Madrid and you went to the Bernabeu, you experienced it, but because you were so high up, because you were in the gods, you didn't really get to. So I was down on the pitch and seeing it and taking it all in and stuff like that. And in South America, most of the pitches are fenced in, so the fans can't get it. So that was even
Yeah, there's that famous clip in there of somebody, I'm not sure who it is, they've scored a goal and they climb up the cage and they're wearing a wedding ring and it rips their finger off as they fall. Oh my God.
The worst, I think the one in, if I remember, I think it was Chile, the Colo Colo game I went to watch. It might have even been Peru as well. I think Peru actually was. They'd actually put a top on the cage as well, whereas most of them had just put like one to the pitch and in between the away fans. Yeah. So the away fans were actually caged in, so they couldn't climb up and over. I think in Colo Colo they weren't. I think it was just a fence, but they had the like stadium top, if that makes sense. Yeah. Whereas the other ones was actually caged in. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to hear more about Billy's exploits in South America, we have already done a podcast, which is 2 years ago now, nearly, where we talk about that in great detail. But then, of course, follow us on Spotify and stuff as well, where we will occasionally Absolute Scenes podcast. We'll have a little chat about that as well. So I'm going to try and do this efficiently now, but I'm going to show everybody your first clip, which is talk us through it, Billy.
I don't know which one it is. Is it the Chelsea one we're doing first?
Can you see it now?
It started sharing. Yes, we can. We can see it now. So this, we've already briefly touched upon it. It's quite a jittery on my end, so hopefully it's all right on your end.
Yeah.
But this is the Chelsea Champions League finals that we already alluded to. We've spoken about it, but I couldn't. Obviously, I could have had the league from like what I watched yesterday and things like that. But this, I'm sure, Tom, if Wolves win a European trophy, that will be the pinnacle of your club's career. Which is, and that's what it is.
At what point in the game did Bayern score? Because
it was it was like the 60th minute. It was the second half.
Yeah.
It was towards the end because I can't actually hear the audio, Tom, but I'm sure they say something like, "Oh, it's Bayern have won it." Is like one of the audio clips there, and then Drogba scores in the 85th minute, which the clip that I wanted was purely that header because I remember that header going absolutely crazy. Obviously, he scores the penultimate penalty, and and then obviously
he scores the winning penalty, doesn't he?
Scores the winning penalty.
I forgot about this bit as well. Conceding a penalty.
Yeah. So
and he got sent off, didn't he, in the 2008 final? Drogba.
Yeah.
So that it was a bit of redemption story for him as well.
For this. Yeah. So I think the clip that you've picked is the UEFA one, isn't it? Because I sent you two videos. Yeah. It is. It says UEFA in this. So I wanted to know, you won't see it in this clip, but in the other clip, which shows the whole penalty shootout, Cech dives the right way for every single penalty. Yeah, even the Schweinsteiger one, which I don't think is shown here. So he saves this one, and this is an incredible save.
Yeah, I know he doesn't.
It's not this one. The score that one. It's the Orlich one, because I know they show both misses.
Yeah, but what gets overlooked a lot is that you're doing this in Bayern Munich's home ground.
Home ground, yeah.
That gets overlooked a lot, and you were rubbish as well this season, weren't you, Chelsea?
Yeah. So even another one I was thinking of doing was the Napoli game, which we turned, which was the one which catapulted us. So even there, he flicks that one onto the post.
Yeah, this is the moment,
and then this one, sending him the wrong way as well. But yeah, this is definitely the pinnacle of like the Chelsea. I think every Chelsea fan's memories will be this moment, and hopefully Wolves will taste some success similar to it soon.
I can't believe of all the managers and all the money that Abramovich spent, it was Di Matteo that won the Champions League.
The other clip that I sent you had the Sky Sports commentary, and obviously you have Neville doing another orgasmic sound, and they're talking about the amount of money that Chelsea have spent on managers. For them then to go and pick the assistant manager to then lift it's just ironic and stuff. And since we haven't, Lampard now is obviously there now, and hopefully he brings similar success. It'll be ironic that it's these big name managers that haven't brought the most success for Chelsea. Because even obviously Mourinho, he won the Champions League, but he wasn't a massive renowned name. At the time, I think Liverpool were linked with him at the time. and he then obviously brought us the first.
What do you think the problem is then with Chelsea and big managers? Why does it never work out?
I think we're just stuck in our ways. My dad was saying last night that we started playing football around the Ranieri era and stuff, and he said Hoddle might have gotten us to some sort of success, but I just remember us being, we just not sit back, but we are just a defensive team. Whereas similar to Sarri last season was trying to get us to play this tiki-taki football or whatever you call it, the Sarri ball, and it's not in our DNA. So whether that's to do with it or whether Roman just wants instant success, because even Ancelotti won the league and then finished second and was sacked.
Yeah. But he won the double, didn't he, in his first season? Won the double.
Yeah, won the double, and then we didn't win. I think he even won the FA Cup potentially when he got sacked, but it wasn't. And you finished second, which I think that's probably, out of all the sackings, that's probably the most. That's the most sour for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Right, we're going to move on then to your final video clip.
Yeah.
Is an interesting one, and one which I very much enjoyed watching or rewatching, which was Watford against Leicester in the playoffs in 2013, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
So talk us through this one.
I remember watching this game. I don't know why, but I was watching the game. Just before, he obviously saves both penalties, but the penalty itself was a very soft penalty. So a lot of people were happy that he missed it. It was justified that he missed. But then for them to go and do this is, I remember watching it again now and still getting shivers. The
Deeney.
It's
because at the time the game's going to extra time, isn't it? And then you assume Leicester are going to win it, and then it flicks to Watford.
And it's still a Chelsea moment in quotations as well, because can you remember who the manager of Watford is, Tom?
Yes, I can. He'll be on the screen in a minute. Yeah, Gianfranco Zola. There he is.
Yeah, so there he is. This is probably the pinnacle of his managerial career, potentially. Because he obviously went on to West Ham, but it was just absolutely bonkers. Obviously, there are other comebacks and stuff like this, but for them to go from a penalty potentially to lose the game and lose the tie, to then go down the other end and score and win the tie, it was either this or because the Sky Sports clip as well, the Soccer Saturday clip.
Oh yeah, well, I would have. When you sent me this, I was thinking about that and thinking that would be a really good clip to show because it's just Johnny Phillips going insane. He doesn't know how to explain how amazing
he was. So I nearly put that, but I thought this is probably the better clip to show, especially because this is the first. I know we did for our podcast, we did a video, and I know the sound audio from the videos might not be as great. So I thought, at least with this, we can talk over the top of it, and you can still understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But go and look that up as well. The Sky Sport, that and the most famous, I think, Jeff Stelling's red card being missed. That was one of my other ones that I thought.
Oh, Jeff, has they? The funny thing about that clip, though. The funny thing about that clip with Watford is that Watford going to lose that playoff final against Crystal Palace anyway, so it was all in vain. But I was trying to explain to somebody yesterday why football is so good, and then I thought, if I just sent that clip and gave it a little bit of context, I think that they would understand.
Yeah,
even though
that's what
the argument that they were making was about how fans are really violent and why, and it doesn't show fans in the best light because there's flares and there's people running on the pitch and stuff, but there's no fighting at all, and nobody cares about the Leicester fans. I imagine that no Watford fan went and taunted the Leicester fans. They were just so engrossed in what they had achieved in that moment, and that's what football's all about, isn't it? Those just snap moments where something crazy happens. So we move on to the very final item then, Billy. I said a mystery football item. So any bit of football memorabilia that you've got.
I've got two, purely. One, because I didn't know, I didn't realise I still had it, but the actual one. But so I'll show you my pretend one first, if that makes sense. So do you know what this is, Tom? I don't know if you can see it.
That is a ticket for the playoff semi-final against Nottingham Forest. That was, we went, I'm amazed that you've still got that, because I don't think I have.
I'm shocked. So I was obviously looking and digging around for stuff, and found it, and I was like, well, I'll put that in, because that's the first football game that me and you went to.
Okay. Well, your first proper one. We may have gone to Carmarthen Town games. Okay.
And we invaded the pitch.
Yeah.
Invaded the pitch.
I was in two pitch invasions in that same week. So at the Swans that day, and then at the Wolves on the Sunday when we managed to stay up. But yeah.
So that was that. But I found it and I thought, that's pretty cool.
In fact, there's something else that I've only ever seen was at that game was the very last kick of the game. I think it was quite close, wasn't it? Because the first leg at Swansea, I think they'd drawn it. I think
they'd drawn the first leg. I think,
but Neil Taylor had got sent off for Swansea really early in that game, and they just about hung in there, and Forest had missed their chance to get an advantage, and then. In the second leg, from memory, I think Swans scored 2 quite quick and close together.
Yeah.
Then Forest got one back with about 20 minutes to go or something, and they just threw everybody forward. Lee Camp was their goalkeeper. And they'd gone up for a corner. And then Darren Prattley scored from the halfway line. Just sort of passed it in from halfway.
From miles out.
Yeah, amazing. But anyway, what was your second piece of
the other one,
memorabilia?
I can't remember whether you've got this.
Okay.
Or... I think you bought it as a present, but...
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I bought that. Not the Chelsea one, obviously, but the Wolves one.
You have
my grandparents.
Wolves equivalent. But you bought it, obviously, before all of...
Yeah, before we were good.
What it is, for the viewers at home, because obviously it is, I think you can... Is it the right way around, someone?
Yeah, it is, newspaper headlines from Chelsea.
It's backwards on my screen. So it says, it's all the newspaper headlines throughout the years of Chelsea. Yeah. So that's one that I've just randomly turned to, and it's got Mourinho. I can't see.
Shield of Dreams, it says,
Yeah. So
I can't remember whether you bought that first and then I bought it subsequently, or
I can't remember. I think you might have potentially because the last thing in it, which I ordered it before, and I was just praying, but the last thing in it is
Champions League.
The Champions League. So I think you may have potentially, because you bought it for your grandfather, didn't you? I think.
Yeah, because they were sort of retiring from going to the match, so I thought I'd buy them something as a because it goes right back, doesn't it, to like
this goes to the
Victorian
very
times almost.
Yeah, this is from 1905.
Which is that's the start of Chelsea, isn't it?
Start of Chelsea. Yeah, so it's the very first thing. So I bought it for my dad for his 50th birthday.
Okay.
So technically it's not mine, but it's definitely something. I think it's the most treasured piece of memorabilia that we currently have because it's got everything in there. But I think I bought it first purely because I think I bought it at the end of the season because my dad's birthday's in August.
Maybe I think I bought it after you, but I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
One of us inspired the other anyway to get it.
As always, Tom. As always.
Yeah. So, thank you very much, Billy, for being my first guest on Show Us Your Kit.
Hopefully it goes well. I'm sure it'll get loads of views from your Wolves fans.
Yeah, well, I've got another couple today with 2 Wolves fans, Harry Mansell and Dave Azzopardi. They'll be up in the coming weeks because I'm going to try and, even though I'm recording them all close together, they're going to be gradually...
You're going to disperse them.
Yeah, because otherwise, people get bored, don't they? So anyway, thanks very much, Billy. Where can we find the podcast? I can't say myself,
At Scenes Pod, is it? I think it's Absolute Scenes. Google Absolute Scenes on Google.
If you put in Tom Rouse podcast, it comes up, or Absolute Scenes podcast on Spotify.
I never know, and that's a running joke, and Tom always forgets to plug it as well. So yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out our podcast. You can also get this podcast on Spotify if you are out and about, so you can subscribe to it and listen to it on there. And I know it's a bit of a visual thing, people showing us football shirts, but if you want to listen to it in the car or traveling anywhere, then you can as well. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.